Hey, good morning, everyone. Mr. B here. Finally, you get a real math teacher. Mr. T, the last 2 days, you probably were like, oh, where's Mr. B, Mr. B? Well, I'm back. Here I am. All right, so get out some paper and pencil, and we're going to start out with some order of operation review. So why don't we copy down this problem here? All right, copy down that problem right there. Okay. And so, what's the first order of operations, class? That's right, it's parentheses. And you see two of them, right? Well, you work it from left to right. 3 times 2 is 6, so write down 6. And then 18 divided by 2 is 9. And then we have to rewrite everything again, okay? This just makes sure that we don't make any mistakes by not doing it in your head. All right, what's the next order of operations? It's exponents. Yep, so we have, it's really 2 times 2 times 2. It's not 2 times 3. So this is 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, and what's the next order of operations? It's multiplication and division, right? Okay, and so we do have multiplication right here. Remember I said anytime there's a number next to a parenthesis and there's no symbol, you always multiply. So this is 18. Okay, and then it's addition, subtraction. And you have 6 plus 8, which is 14. And then 18 plus 14 is 32. There you go. All right. So you're going to have a problem like this today on your classwork. So that just gives you a little bit of review there for you. All right. And so let's say that I had 7/15. Write that down. Change into a decimal. All right, and if you remember that the numerator goes in the box, okay, and the denominator goes on the outside. Now let's look at something before we begin. Well, this tells you how many pieces there are, and this tells you, so let's say that I said you're going to reach your hand in to grab out a red jelly bean. First, you'd have to total up how many jelly beans there are total, which is 15, and there's 7 red jelly beans. Well, before we actually figure out the percent, we can kind of estimate, well, what's half of 15? Well, half of 15 is 7.5, right? And this is 7. So we know right away that we're going to have a less than a 50% chance of getting the red jelly bean if we reached in. Let's see. 15 goes into 7, 0 times. Okay. And then 15 goes into 70. Let's do it over here. Let's try 5 times. 5 times 5 is 5. Carry the 2. That's set. Nope, it's not 5. So it has to be 4. So that's 60. And then we want 2 numbers after the decimal. And 15 goes into 100, I believe, 6 times. That will be 90. And look at that. If you guys look, when we estimated, we said it would be below 50%. And 7/15 is actually 46%. Okay? So let's take a look at that a little bit more. So what happens if I had 16? Well, if I had 8/16, you already know that that would be 50% because half of 16 is 8, right? And then if I said 7/16, you know that it's probably going to be between 40 and 49%, right? Even if I said 6/16, it'd probably be between 40 and 45. Does that make sense? And so then if I said to you 15/16, you guys would say, oh my gosh, that's almost a whole. So that would be between 90 and 99%. That's just you estimating it without you guys actually getting into doing that, okay? So you're gonna get a problem like that. All right, I need you guys to draw this trapezoid. Okay, can you guys draw that, please? All right, put 12 underneath here, put 6 here, put 4 here, put 8 here, and then put 5 there. All right, we're gonna find the area, okay? So if you find the area of a trapezoid, who remembers the formula? It is base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2 times the height. All right, well, here's a base, right? And then if I took this and I actually turned it over, this would be a base, okay? So there's actually 2 bases. So that's how they get base 1 plus base 2. So let's rewrite this. You get 12 plus 8 divided by 2 times the height. Well, I have to go up to the top of the mountain and the rock has to go straight down. And you guys might say, well, what happens if I went up here? Okay, the rock still has to go straight down. Well, if this is 5, this is 5, okay? So what's 12 plus 8? 20. And what type of fraction is that? It's improper. So, well, 2 goes into 20. Well, basically it's asking you what's half of 20. That's 10. And 10 times 5 is 50. So can you guys see once again that everything that we're doing here, basic math, basic math, basic math. It's just following the rules. And if you follow the rules, math is really not that difficult, you guys. You guys will get a problem like that, okay? Why don't you guys copy down this? Okay, copy that down. And what is the rule when multiplying and dividing fractions, mixed fractions? That's right, you have to turn them into improper. So 5 times 8 is 40 plus 2 is 42/5. Divided by 5 times 2 is 10 plus 4, 14/5. Okay? And what do we do to the division symbol? It changes into a multiplication. Okay? And then you invert or flip the second fraction, and now you cross reduce. What goes into 5? 5. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 5 once. What goes into 14 and 42? Well, I know 2 does because they're both even. 2 goes into that 7 times. 2 goes into that 21 times. 21 times 1 is 21. 1 times 7 is 7. And what type of fraction is that, class? That's right. It's improper. So the numerator goes in the box and 7 goes in the 21 3 times. Nice job. All right, let's copy this down. Let's copy down the triangle. All right. So, well, I'm going to review a couple things. Let's do the formula method here. So if I said n minus 2 times 180, and n stands for number of sides, well, there's 3 sides, And 1 times 180 is 180. So a three-sided figure is 180 degrees. But I want you to add these numbers because we're going to do the area of this. Okay? So copy down those numbers. And what is the formula finding area of a triangle? That's right. It's 1/2 times base times height. So here's the base is 15 and the height is right here because it has to go straight down. It can never slide. So that's 4 and 15 times 4 is 60 and you bring down the half and then you cross reduce what goes in the 2 and 60. Well, it's 2 because they're both even, so 2 will work, but 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into that 30 times, so you get 30 over 1, which is an improper fraction. 1 goes into 30 times. So the area of that is 30. All right, let's do, you guys don't have to copy this down, you guys can just watch. We're going to work on finding the mode. Okay, so when we're finding the mode, it's the number that has the most data on it. So people always think the mode, it's the most or the biggest number, which people will think 6. It has data on it, but 3 has 4 marks. So the mode is actually 3 in this case, okay? And then the range is you find the biggest number, which is 6, and you find the smallest number, which is 1, and you subtract it. And that gives you your range, right? And then to remember the median, you put the numbers in order. 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 5, 6. And then you cross out. And it comes to be 3. So that's the median, right? And then to find the mean, which means average, you'd add up all these numbers and then divide up by how many numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 would be on the outside, and whatever these numbers add up to would be on the inside. Okay? All right. And so let's review. Write down this number. You guys went out to eat, and your bill came to $68.19. So write down that number. You're going to leave a tip of 20%. Okay? Do you guys remember what you have to do to the tip? You have to cross this out and then put a decimal, and then what? You move it 2 places to the left. And then what do you have to do with this? That's right, you'd have to multiply it. Okay? And that's just 0, 0, 0, 0. And then 9 times 2 is 18. Carry the 1. That's 2. That's 3. 8 times 2 is 16. Carry the 1. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 13. And add it up. And then what do you do with the decimals? That's right, you got to swing them out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So how much is the tip? Well, it's $13.63. So I believe we kind of touched on this a little bit. We can make our life a lot easier. So you leave a 20% tip, right? Let's round this $68.19 to the nearest 10. Is it closer to 60 or 70? Well, it's closer to 70. Well, what's 7 times 2? 14. Look at $14, and the actual tip is $13.63. Pretty cool, right? So let's say that your meal was $31.13, and you're going to leave a 20% tip. Well, what would you round that to? I'd just round it to 30, and what's 3 times 2? 6. Okay, that's just a quick way of doing it, all right? So let's take a look at what we've been working on. If it were me, I would make a number line again. Okay, and then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That'd be -1. Remember, everything left to the 0, right? Or the bottom of the 0 is always negative, right? Okay, so this is positive land and this is negative land, right? And so let's say that I had -5 plus 9. Where would I start? That's right, I'd start at -5 and then plus 9. So I'd hop 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the answer here is 4. Okay, let's say that I had, oh, I don't know, -12 plus 2. Well, here's -11. -12 would be right here, right? And then plus 2, 1, 2, it would be a -10. Okay? And let's say that I had 15 plus a -5. Well, here's 10, so you can assume, 15's here, right? And then you just hop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're like, oh, I get it. It's 10 because I'm still in positive land. So now, what happens if you guys see 7 minus a -6? When two negatives are next to each other, what happens? That's right, it just magically turns into a positive. Okay? So if I had this, right? Okay, 7 plus 2 is 9. Check this out now. What happens if I had this? So you have two negatives next to each other, so it'd be a -8 plus 2. So you'd start at -8 and hop 2 places, so it'd be a -6, huh? Okay, and so what happens if I said -5 times 3? Anytime that you multiply a negative and a positive, the negative always wins the fight. Okay? If I multiply 2 negatives, magically it turns into a positive. Just the rule. When you divide a negative and a positive, the negative wins the fight. When you divide 2 negatives, it turns into a positive. So the same rules apply. All right? All right, superstars. Good job today, and we will see you at the meeting, or if you have any questions, just please ask.